afford the carriage, but you look sweet upon the seat of a bicycle built for two. Hello, we are Violet
and Daisy
Hilton, world-renowned conjoined twins,
known for our musicianship
and accomplishment in dance. We were born in Brighton, England on February 5th, 1908, to an unmarried barmaid who considered our affliction of being joined at the hips and buttocks as a sign from God, and who couldn't sell us fast enough to her employer, Mary Hilton,
who right away saw the commercial prospects of our condition.
Doctors considered separation, but since we share blood circulation in our fuse of the pelvis,
you unanimously decided against it.
Fearing our death would be imminent,
no one expected us
to last more than a few weeks.
Mary Hilton,
who we called Auntie Lou, and her husband, known to us as Sir,
kept us under their very strict control with physical abuse.
We were trained tirelessly in singing
and dancing,
and were put to work to earn our keep at the age of 3, touring throughout Germany and Australia.
At the age of 8, we were brought to America, where we worked in sideshows.
Until Mary died, and bequeathed us to her daughter and son-in-law, who also beat us frequently as they forced us to become proficient at jazz.
Violet is a skilled saxophonist,
and Daisy a violinist.
But our guardians were greedy and cruel.
We were ill-treated and kept in a state of poverty
until we arranged a private meeting with a lawyer.
At the age of 23 in 1931, we sued for our freedom, went to circus life!
Now, romance was something both of us had longed for, but never dreamed was possible for us.
Which explains why the following incident could have been predicted by a moronic fortune teller.
He was a
snake oil salesman, Sean O'Flannery,
and he was
sleazy,
gorgeous, dark black, wavy hair that carelessly fell over one of his brilliant blue eyes, a strong jaw, and
come on, line to match.
He sported a piercing
smile
and a
oily manner,
and when he touched my hand, it sent electricity down my leg and thrilled me to my toes. And when he spoke my name in his deep,
affected voice,
I was completely
it made me want to throw up.
He began
making a habit
of coming to see me between shows, always with a sparkling trinket, a gold coin, or a sweetie to encourage my affection.
We argued about sleazeball all the time.
He really listens to me.
He's playing you.
He sees into me and he approves. He's my biggest cheerleader, my biggest fan.
He's insincere.
He wants to celebrate everything about me. He's always happy to see me. He'll drop everything he's doing at the first opportunity to be with me. He buys me things without
I don't
reason.
know what.
And he's
just priming the pump.
He could have any woman, but he wants to be with me.
Until he doesn't. It didn't take long for her to fall completely in love with him.
He moved on Daisy quickly.
He glanced at me seductively, moving in closely to chew on her neck. Things progressed very passionately. But what was I to do? I loved Daisy. I saw how completely enthralled and under his spell she was. And I knew how much she wanted this, so I gave in. I removed myself to another place in my mind, a forest glen, with buddies and birds, and I stayed there as long as that reprehensible rapscallion had Daisy in his clutches. When it was over, and he finally left, I held Daisy's head and kissed her cheek, and let her sleep the sleep of fantasy fulfillment. But then the next day came, and no sleazeball. On the next, and we couldn't run into him even on the midway. He was obviously avoiding me. Slowly, it all began to dawn on her. He's gone. He just left. He said he would never do that. Why did he do that? Was everything he said a lie? Was he lying the whole time? The whole time? Oh dear Lord, I've been such a fool! He never meant a word of it. I can see it now. I was blind to it before, but oh God help me, I can see it now. Oh, I'm so ashamed. I was so gullible, so foolish. Oh, I'm supposed to die. How can I live in this view of how ridiculous I am? A clown, a fool, the voluntary butt of a joke. How humiliating. How can I ever hold my head up again? You were so right all along. Oh, I'm so ashamed. How you must disrespect me, Violet.
have I done to us? To both of us? I dragged you along, kicking and screaming me up, but I pushed my needs and desires ahead of ours, completely walling off everything you had to say. But now it is both of us who will be scorned. When you did everything you could do to stop him. Oh my God, what have I done?
We sat behind our tent trying to pick up the pieces. And I reminded her that he's a professional conman by trade, and she's just a vulnerable, naive girl who's particularly susceptible to his perverted masked motives.
You weren't fooled, and you have no more experience in this world than I do. I'm just a blameworthy fool, undeserving of your sympathy or comfort.
Then she began to inconsolably weep, periodically developing into animal-like howling. I was frozen in fear for her sanity. When who should come slinking by but that snake, Flannery, boldly making advances right there in front of Daisy to the circus's newly engaged young contortionist. You skunk, you cur, you snake! How dare you parade your infidelity in front of my sister? Have you no compassion? Did she mean nothing to you? No, he said vaingloriously. She meant nothing. She was little more than a curiosity to be used for bragging rights and amusements. And then discarded as the freak she is. Now, stop spying on me and bother me no more. Well, it was more than I could handle. Before I realized, the elephant bullhook was in my hand. It was flying through the air when suddenly it caught him in the eye, penetrating his vile brain with its hook. No! Justice was swift. I was arrested, tried, and convicted of voluntary manslaughter. Next came the sentencing phase of the trial.
Violet's lawyer argued long and hard that sending her to jail was unjust to me, for I had not committed any crimes. It'd be condemning me to forced incarceration without any justification, false imprisonment. It was tantamount to kidnapping. Further, he argues that I would have the rights to sue and would be entitled to
Punitive damages from the court. But the court was not moved. They said that I had taken a life,
and though it was
dreadful and grievous
that I
Daisy
would have to be locked up for nothing.
God has joined us in this way.
And
Daisy
I
was
was
condemned
condemned by divine agency and not the criminal court.
The judge could have given us life, but because of our situation and the unintended natures of my crime, shortened the sentence to 30 years.
Oh, stop! Don't look so tragic!
That didn't really happen to us!
It's a variation from a plot from a movie called
Chained for Life. We made in Hollywood in 1952. Actually, in 1931, after we became our own managers, we remained popular vaudeville performers.
Until live shows were replaced by motion pictures. In 1933, Violet began a relationship with musician Maurice Lambert.
We applied in 21 states for marriage license, but it was always refused.
In 1936, Violet married a gay actor as a publicity stunt.
The marriage lasted 10 years.
On paper.
It was, eventually. In 1941, Daisy married a dancer
Who was also gay.
The marriage lasted 10 days. After performing in Freaks 1932,
and Chained for Life 1952, unfortunately we fell into
Poverty and Obscurity, our last public appearance was at a drive-in in 1961 in Charlotte, North Carolina, where our tour manager abandoned us there, and with no means of income or transportation, we were forced to take a job
in a nearby grocery store where we worked
for the rest of our lives.
On the 4th of January 1969, after we failed to report to work,
we were found dead in our homes, victims of the Hong Kong flu. Daisy died first.
Violet died between 3 days later.
Those were the worst 3 days of my life. Critically suffering from the flu, holding my departed other half as she reposed in death.
We were buried in Forest Lawn West Cemetery in Charlotte.
If you care to come pay your respects. But in death, we finally found the ability to become separated from each other. Sands, bodies and all.
But we've chosen to remain in death as we were in life.
Bound by love. Something seems to be going on over there. Is that a dog-faced woman?
Oh my, we should go see.
Roll up!
Go on. Go on, you slowpokes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Santa Paula.